around for about 2 years or so, and already that their fan base has declined. So that just kind of, I thought that would be kind of a shout out to them to say, hey, okay, let's not stray any further from what Halo has become. Let's take it back towards Halo 3, maybe. But it's not what's going to happen. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and just see how everything plays out.
From what I saw with Bungie, it's not really like they've given up on their games. You know, like, of course the games are still out there and the servers are still up, but they're not going to watch their games anymore. And what I mean, like, they're not going to track any of your Halo 3 games or anything like that. They're just going to leave it to 343. And it's kind of sad to see, you know, this monster of a company that has this huge franchise behind them to hand over the reins to somebody who honestly looks like they're going to screw it up. You know, it almost seems like you have, you know, some oil field owner who owns, like, you know, whose net worth is about $50 billion, and he gives it to his hotshot, you know, 22-year-old son, and then his son goes and wastes all the money on whatever he wants to.
Comparison there, but it kind of makes sense, I guess.
But yeah.
But I mean, that's just our opinion. You know, there are a lot of people that are crazy excited about the game, so you know, we'll just have to see how it plays out.
So, next topic.
Yeah. This one's just kind of a personal thing for me. I'm gonna let me know if I rant a little bit too much on this. But one of the biggest...
I'll give you 4 minutes.
One of the biggest disappointments that came from E3 for me was to see that EA Sports and the UFC have come to a $100 million agreement for multiple UFC games that are going to be put out by EA Sports.
Wow. So,
EA Sports has already put out one video game, which was just titled EA MMA, and in my opinion, it flopped very hard. There were very silly animations, there was a lack of special moves, a terrible ground game, and a really crappy career mode that made the game well below average. And to think, at that time, they were actually competing with the UFC, so they were, you know, trying their hardest to put out a good game. Now they're going to be the only ones that are putting out an MMA game, unless there's some, you know, small company that tries to create like the Bellator Fight League game or something like that. But anyways, for the most part, they're going to be the only ones that are putting out a legitimate MMA game, which that kind of tells me they're going to do the exact same thing that they do with their other games. For example, EA is the only company that can put out a college football or a pro game. And because of this, we see very minimal effort put into their games. They pretty much say, you want a football game? Okay, buy this. If not, sucks for you. Can't play a college football game. And this results in, you know, not having very good video games. You know, I see them doing the same exact thing with their UFC game. They make a game, slap the UFC name on it, and send it to the public. What really sucks is that their agreement was for multiple titles, so we'll have to see, you know, more than one game come out of this. And, I mean, just kind of shows you, I think, what money can do to people. I mean, that in my opinion, that it was all about money. I mean, just a couple years ago, Dana White, whenever they were making their very first UFC game, he said, quote, EA Sports doesn't give a expletive about mixed martial arts. They made that very clear, end quote. And, I mean, obviously $100 million will change your mind. And, I mean, we'll have to see. Maybe something crazy will happen, and
it'll be the best game ever.
It'll be the best game ever. No, it's not going to happen. I mean, that was very disappointing. And as long as we're speaking on sports games, I'll touch up on the world of basketball. I saw some gameplay of NBA 2K13 from 2K Sports. And to be honest, I looked at it and couldn't tell if it was 2K13 or if it was 2K12. The graphics didn't look much different, and the gameplay looked equally as bad as it was last year. I saw Kendrick Perkins outrunning Russell Westbrook on a fast break, which shows there isn't much difference between the players when it comes to speed. I saw Manu Ginobili dribble straight to the defense like they weren't even there. He does this slow behind-the-back move into traffic, and the defense kind of gets pushed out of the way. And I saw a lot of players just running around with no basketball mind reasoning, and I saw yet another really crappy collision system. Tony Parker gives this little pump fake. The defender goes up in the air, and while the defender should have committed a foul, he kind of just gets force-fielded out of the way, and Tony Parker raises up and shoots a jumper, and boom goes the dynamite. It looks bad. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that buy it just for the good graphics, but the gameplay just looks crappy. And this year, EA Sports is returning the NBA Live franchise. They've only showed screenshots so far, and the graphics didn't look near as good as 2K13. That's no surprise there. And just the fact that EA Sports is making the game, I really don't expect much coming from it.
Yeah, which is what we've come to expect from EA when they decide that they're going to do something. Just expect that it's going to be crap.
I mean, the one good thing that I do like about EA Sports coming back and making a basketball game is that there's more than one basketball game out there now, and so there's competition between the two, and it kind of pushes themselves to make as good of a game as they can.
Well, what I see wrong with that, though, is that for some reason, people just automatically assume that because it's a 2K game, they're going to be like, well, it has to be better than everything else, and unfortunately, EA gets all of their money. And EA gets their money, and they're like, even if they break even, they're like, well, we broke even, so much for that crap, we don't care about it.
Yeah,
they can't say otherwise, because what are they going to do? Like, oh, man, yeah, we totally took care of our games. No, you didn't. I'm a football player, and I watch 2K12. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I can't understand why people will sit there and say 2K12 is like, the greatest basketball game ever played or whatever, or ever made, excuse me. You can't pass around double teams. The player just tries to pass straight through the players. There's one trajectory of passing. And just a couple years ago, they had an option where you could control what kind of pass you threw. You could do a bounce pass, a chest pass, a lob pass, a lead pass. I don't know why they got rid of that. And then
it was too good.
There was like
too many choices. They got to make it as simple as possible.
There's like 30 tip slams a game. The players bounce the balls off their feet.
I just want to play NBA Street, something like that. I don't know.
If I was watching an NBA game that was played the exact same way that 2K games were played,
I wouldn't watch it.
It would be the worst thing in the world to watch. I mean, it would be a joke. The NBA would be an absolute joke.
Stock. But yeah. All right. Well, do you want to move it along?
Let's move it on, man.
I guess I'll speak a little bit now for probably one of my biggest excitements, other than Black Ops 2 and all that stuff. But this is just one of my personal ones. Resident Evil 6 this October. Really looking forward to that one. I've been a big fan of Resident Evil since the first one, back on the PlayStation days and everything like that. And in my opinion, they've never really, not had a good game. I mean, there have, of course, been some times where the fan base has screamed, like, oh, this is, betrayal. You guys are selling out. And, when they stepped away from zombies to go to, an infectious disease, the Las Plagas and all this other stuff. I honestly didn't care because I was like, it's Resident Evil. You can't do the same thing over and over again, because if you do the same thing over and over again, all you're going to be stuck with is Resident Evil 1 with a different face. And you can't really have that. That just makes for a bad game.
Yeah, you don't ever want to just throw a little coat of paint on a game and call it good.
Yeah. So, I mean, the bigger and better steps that they've done since, Resident Evil 4 with, Resident Evil 5, updating the whole, the graphics engine, the whole gameplay, the way it's presented, the storyline and how it's evolved, and how they're going to wrap it all together in Resident Evil 6, I think is going to be awesome. I mean, you finally have all these diverged paths that the storyline has taken from, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with all these different characters who have done all these different things, and you're finally putting them into one huge melting pot, and, we'll finally get some answers. We'll finally get to see how some of the things played out that we didn't really get to see.
We'll finally be able to move and shoot at the same time. I mean, I don't know why
amazing.
That's been going on for 5 games or whatever, but I picked that thing up.
More than that, I think it's been like 10 games.
I picked that thing up, and like zombies coming at me, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. I'll just run away while I'm shooting, and I can't move and shoot. And I'm just like, yeah, this game is not for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of added to, in my opinion,
difficulty.
it added to the difficulty and the suspense of the game.
I know what you mean.
And then with some more of the updates that I've seen, they've been really stressing the whole be stingy with your bullets, because they're not going to make it to where there's going to be like a pack of ammo around every corner.
That's good.
They're going to make it going back, not necessarily the zombies from like Resident Evil 2, but it's sort of an involved type of virus strain. Not necessarily just a T virus. I think they said it's a C virus, where they're a constantly mutating strain, and it'll be different, but at the same time, it'll feel more like home for everybody who's missed Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and Resident Evil 1 for that matter. So I'm kind of looking forward to what they're going to do with the whole storyline with Leon and Chris in there, and all these new characters and old familiar faces coming back. But yeah. And was there news about the multiplayer? Did they come out with a little bit?
The only thing that I saw was that there would be co-op campaign, both split screen and online. I don't think there's going to be any kind of a competitive mode or anything like that.
Well, I mean, not like online competitive, but
I think I might have heard something about you could do different like missions and stuff.
Oh, that's good.
Online.
Well,
but
like from what they've done,
it was a really short interview that I saw.
What they've done with the past, if you've played Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 5, has been that if you're playing with a friend, they can hop in on the storyline with you, because there's always been like 2 main characters that you can choose to play with. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting, because you might be able to play, you might be able to be Leon, and your best friend might be able to be Chris, and then you guys get to go and pwn some zombies like everybody's been doing for the past games.
All right, well, kind of getting towards the end of the show, so how about answer this. What has been your favorite game since October, November-ish? We haven't had, this is our first show, so this is kind of the end of the gaming season.
Yeah.
So go back. What's been the favorite game that you played since October? Tell us a little bit about it.
Hands down, since if we're gonna go, back to November, October.
I don't even know why I'm asking. I know what the answer to this is.
Obviously, for me, Skyrim. And I've kind of had to wean myself off from playing so much, and I actually haven't touched it since Christmas break from school, because I kind of went a little crazy and might have put a full week.
He's talking like
into it
Sunday to Sunday nonstop playing.
I think the last time I checked it, I had 196 hours logged in.
That is
a lot. I didn't. I'll see. I got it when it came out, roughly, and I told myself I wasn't going to play it until Christmas break, and then as soon as I get off from school, I played it, and I played the crap out of it. I mean, it was probably the best game that I've played in the past decade.
I mean, it is a really good game. Just some of the little things they do with it, like the leveling system, is nothing like, past RPGs. I mean, like in past RPGs, you kill so many enemies and you get so much experience points and you level up, and then you get skill points that you use for, all your different set of skills. Whereas in this one, you gain skill points by using that skill. If you're running around using a one-handed sword, then you're going to level up your one-handed ability. Yeah. Or if you go around, healing yourself nonstop, you're going to get points towards your restoration ability. And I thought that was just a really innovative feature towards RPG games.
Yeah. And I mean, like, one of the things that really stood out to me, being somebody who didn't really like RPGs, the ability for somebody to go in if you have the time, to put into the game. This isn't one of those, I'll just play for like 30, 45 minutes and then call it good.
That's how I was. I got the game and, I could put in maybe an hour and a half at a time.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
If you think that you can just play it for 45 minutes and be okay, no. Because if you really let yourself get into it, and you have to let yourself get into it, you can't just be like, oh, this will automatically, take me in. You have to let yourself go into that world, and then next thing you know, it's Tuesday, and you're like, well, crap, I kind of missed a couple days there. But yeah, it was really fun, and it was really easy to adapt to.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Clutch? What's been your favorite game?
Well,
whatever.
Obviously there was the Call of Duty and Skyrim, but won't go towards those. Something that I had a lot of fun playing was Max Payne 3, and and like I've said, I'm not really big on campaigns, but this one kind of really, I was really drawn to that game. I mean, it was a very bloody, violent, gruesome game, and
Rockstar for you.
Being a guy, it was kind of like, oh yeah, this is awesome. It was a very arcade style game. There was a lot of diving around out into the open, shooting things and stuff, and it was just really fun. And that was mainly for only campaign. There was the multiplayer, but that was the multiplayer wasn't anything for me. But if you are looking for a really good multiplayer game, there's always Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one. That is
one of the reasons that I think that it's such a great game. Is it is a tactical shooter. There's a lot of sneaking around, and you absolutely have to have teamwork. Yeah. This isn't like Call of Duty where you can...
And that's another thing, too. I've noticed playing Future Soldier that a lot of the people you play against aren't, run and gun 12-year-olds playing on Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are serious.
Yeah.
And so if you're a serious tactical shooter, check it out.
Yeah, that's what the biggest draw for me was. It wasn't a Call of Duty style game where you can go 1-on-6 and win the game. You absolutely have to have teamwork. So, another crazy, awesome thing with that was the level of customization with your weapons.
Oh, yeah.
With Call of Duty, you have a maximum of about 10 attachments for each weapon. With Future Soldier, you have about 75 different attachments, and they all, change your stats up around everything. So, definitely check out any one of those games that we just throw out there, and you won't be disappointed. Definitely.
Oh, most definitely. But yeah, I think that just about does it for us for this first episode of the Post Game Lobby. Go ahead and hit us up on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/postgamelobby, and on Twitter you can hit us up at Big Non PGL and Captain Clutch PGL. And like I said earlier, we'll post those in the Facebook page to make sure everybody knows how to get to us.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions for us or any topics you guys want us to maybe cover, or if you have any comments on the show, something maybe we can do better for you guys. I mean, you guys are the future of the show, so we're definitely going to be listening to you guys. All right?
Yeah, I mean, if there's something you guys don't like, something you guys really like, maybe some topic areas you want us to cover, or maybe some suggestions on, hey, maybe you guys could talk about this, or, whatever. Try to keep it at least a little clean,
Yeah, don't be too hard on us. But, I mean, whether you guys listen to the show for 2 minutes or you listen to the whole thing, give us a little feedback. Let us know what you thought about it, all right? We really appreciate it.
Yeah. And as always, keep it locked.
Keep it locked.